Good afternoon and welcome to Kitty Talks. We share inspirational life stories that empower you to create yours. Today I have with me Susanna Halonen. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Susanna is a happyologist, a happiness life coach. She's also an inspirational speaker and author of the book Screw Finding Your Passion. It's Within You, Let's Unlock It, which totally resonates with me and obviously what we're doing here at Kitty Talks. And she helps you kill self-doubt, embrace positive thinking, and build a life you love. So again, totally aligned with what we're doing here at Kitty Talks. So welcome, Susanna.
Thank you so much for our little chat.
Oh, well, yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on, because obviously I'd love you to tell the audience a little bit more about your work, really, who you are and what you do in the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd love to share more.
So tell us a bit about your life coach, speaker.
Yeah, so basically the brand kind of I've taken on board is the Happyologist, basically because all the work I do is about how you can be happier and more fulfilled, and it's all based on positive psychology, which is also known as the science of happiness and human performance. And yeah, my work really varies from day to day, and I do kind of offer a few different things, from one-to-one individual coaching to online courses you can kind of study yourself, to workshops and talks that I deliver for organizations or at events or different types of conferences. And then finally, when I do get the chance, I try and write a few books and articles on the side as well. But yeah, everything that I do is all about how you can be happier and more fulfilled and make sure that you're living your best possible life.
Yes, I love that. And happyologist, I've never come across that term. Is that something that you kind of coined or phrased?
Yeah, it's something I came up with basically early on in my journey, and I was like, okay, what should I call myself, or do I just use my name? Kind of quirky, and because my focus is all about happiness than just being positive psychologist or psychologist, I'm about happyologist. So that's how it kind of came about. And yeah, then I basically coined the term, came up with it, started my blog initially just as a blog basically, and then eventually evolved into business. But I quickly understood that I had to kind of protect it, so I got all the trademarks on it as well, because a lot of cheeky people, I guess, tested the waters a bit and said, oh, wow, I really like the term, I'm going to use it. And I'm like, actually, I kind of think it's my term.
Yeah.
So that was one of maybe the first learnings, I guess, on the way.
And I would love to know a little bit more about your story and journey, because obviously, for people listening, how on earth do you become a happyologist? So can you kind of take us back? Because I know you had a kind of corporate career, but can you kind of take us back? Because obviously, just to kind of set the scene for you, one of the things we do with Kitty Talks is we're really helping people like you are with your book, helping them to tune in and unlock what their purpose and passion is. So I'd really love to understand more about your journey. Like, was it, your intuition, or tell us a bit about your life story?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd love to. Maybe I'll go back into high school, I guess, or in the UK. Yeah, so before I went into university, when I was kind of trying to decide what should I study, what should I kind of go for. And because of that whole message of, oh, if you find your passion, you should follow it and kind of embrace it. She went to a horse university because I've loved horses from a very young age. So I kind of thought that was my passion and that the thing that I was meant to follow. And however, when I was at the horse university, I didn't quite enjoy doing it full time. I realized that it was kind of a passion that I just wanted to keep on the side, and actually doing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it started to actually kill my love for it. And that's when I realized, okay, maybe I should rethink this, do a little bit more of a tradition, and then just keep horses on the side as something to enjoy. So that's kind of the next phase. So then I basically left the horse university, went to normal university just to do a general management degree with a specialization in marketing, because I was always quite fascinated with people and human behavior. And I thought marketing was kind of the closest to it other than psychology. So I kind of went that path, did my degree, got a corporate career, started to do anything from project management to marketing communications and a little bit of public relations as well. And again, while I was there, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really enjoying this that much. This isn't really exactly what I thought it would be. And I wanted to do something more fulfilling and something more meaningful. So as I was trying to figure out what my next step should be and what I should do, I came across this brilliant book called The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor.
Yep.
And when I read it, I was like, oh my God, there is this field called positive psychology, which is all about happiness and human fulfillment. And I'm like, wow, ooh, how do I get into this field? How can I dive deeper? So whilst I was still at my corporate career, I started exploring it. I started reading more books on it, starting to follow people on social media, read more blogs, did a few like weekend courses, online courses, any introductory courses to it. And with each step I took, each book I read, each course I attended, I felt more sure that it was positive psychology that I really wanted to get into. I really wanted to get into this whole field of happiness and fulfillment. Also, because I think personally, I was feeling so unfulfilled myself. It was almost that was my first attraction to it. Is like, ooh, how can I practice this myself? How can I apply it to my own life? And as I started to slowly do that in my own life, I realized, wow, actually, I want to help other people to do the same. And that's when I then decided to take the big leap. I left my corporate career, went to do a master's of science in applied positive psychology because I really wanted the scientific kind of backing to all the work that I did. And then I also did a life coaching accreditation because I really wanted to combine the science with the practical bit. And then I was basically away. That year I did my master's. I started to kind of build my Happyologist business because initially I'd already started it before as a blog, just writing about what I was reading and learning and exploring. And then once I did my master's and my coaching accreditation, that's when I started to actually offer work through it. And that's how I turned it into a business. So like I said, I already started doing the coaching, the workshops and the talks. So all the services that I offer now as well.
And you're a really good example of somebody who kind of knew that something wasn't right, from what you just described. You could tell, that it was something was off and that you weren't totally enjoying what you were doing. And so you just started to kind of look around and go towards what it was you enjoyed. And would there be your advice for people listening if they're kind of a bit stuck? Like how can they do what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly, I think what you said there is taking some little steps, taking some action, because you can think about it, you can reflect on it, you can journal about it, all that is good. But if you really want to move forward, you need to take some actions as well, like go take that course or go to that network or that meetup that is about that industry or job or the thing that you're thinking about getting into. Because once you go there, test the waters a bit, interact with more people in that field, that's when you start to get a little bit clearer about, oh, does this feel right? Does this feel wrong? Or what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Because every interaction and every action that you take really gives feedback to you intuitively. And that's when you know, okay, yes, I'm more in this, and oh, that doesn't quite feel right. I'm going to go a little bit more this way. And it's like you say, it is really about checking in with yourself continuously and listening to your intuition and taking those little steps, even like saying who you maybe admire and who you're intrigued about their job, even just that tiniest step will help you kind of move forward, because with each step you also get more courage and more confidence, and you also get that sense, ooh, does this feel right?
Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant advice. And actually, what I really like about what you did as well is that you had your job, but on the side, you were kind of training yourself and you were writing your blog and you were kind of taking steps. And I think it's totally true. Like, we have to get on the court, is the expression that I use, because so the subject of purpose is such a big, it's such a big topic. It can freak people out, I think. And obviously, you only learn by doing. The more you do, the more you kind of get in the game, the more you start to understand which bits you enjoy and go towards, like you said, the bits that you really like.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And when did you get to the stage where you thought, okay, this is a business now? Like, talk to me about that.
Well, I guess when I was in my corporate career, it was maybe about 18 months that I kind of developed my blog and did, like, I think the first thing I did was do this official coaching accreditation, because that was like a weekend and evening course. So I could still do it while I was in my job. And then I just realized, well, this is what I want to do. This feels 1,000,000% right. So I just need to go for it. And I kind of just realized I had to immerse myself fully into it and get into it if I wanted to turn it into a business. And that's, I think, where the opportunity of, well, starting with the life coaching, it was easy to kind of start that on the side, even a little bit when I was at my corporate career. And then when I started my master's of science in positive psychology, then I started to actually just do, a few free workshops and free talks just to get word of mouth going, get some referrals, get more experience, see how I felt, see how people kind of responded. And then that's when I realized, okay, there is momentum here. There are people who are interested. There are people who want more. And then again, with those little actions that I took, I was like, oh, okay, this is an opportunity. This is something that I can turn into a full-time gig, basically. So it was, again, just taking those little steps and trusting the feedback I got, and then adapting everything that I did so that it was as good as it could be for the clients that I was basically receiving. And then when I finished my master's, because it was a full-time master's, so I didn't have that much time to build my business, but I still had time to kind of start turning it over a little bit. And then when I finished my master's, I was like, well, I might as well go straight into it, get fully immersed into it. And then I just kind of took the leap, went into it, and yeah, never looked back since.
And one of the things I have witnessed in my own life is how the synchronicities I start to flow when you are, I like to call it your kind of soul path. It's kind of what your highest purpose, what you're here to do. Like, have you witnessed or had that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing, because whenever I have a thought that, oh, maybe this is, the next client I should work with, or this is the next project I want to be involved in. And if it's right and it really feels right, that I'm doing it because, not just because it would look good on my CV or my website or whatever, but actually because it's something I truly believe in, somehow the connections start happening. I'll meet someone who says, oh yeah, I know a person who works there, or I get an email from someone saying, oh, we're working on this project, do you want to be involved? And I don't know, things just magically start to happen in a weird and wonderful way. And I always feel like the more right all my thoughts and ideas were, the more kind of the universe would send my way as well, and be like, oh, well, here, this is what you can do. And I'm like, yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking of doing. So it's, yeah, I think they've definitely started to happen more and more. And like, because I just believe the more connected you are to yourself, and the more aligned your work is with who you are and what your mission in life is, the more opportunities will also come your way. And also the more likely you are to notice those opportunities, because you're kind of open to receiving them.
And I totally agree with you, Susanna. Would you kind of say that, as well as, because obviously you're helping other people, what you're doing is, you're obviously a life coach, but you are supporting other people in their journeys. And so that for me is, I think, the other thing I've seen is when we're doing something in service to the planet, or, to the wider society, that it's almost like the universe supports us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And often I find that I also get, like, the clients, especially with the coaching, the type of clients who come to me at any point in time, they're like, oh, I want to work on this. Like, let's say, oh, I want to be kinder to myself, or I want to kind of figure out where exactly to take my career next. They often seem to be mirrors of the questions I'm also exploring at that point in time. And then by coaching them, it's almost like, oh, okay, this is what I should be telling myself as well. And it's really, yeah, it is really magical. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, of course, because it's kind of a mirror, isn't it?
Yeah,
You're attracting people that are kind of maybe a little bit further down, like behind you on the journey almost.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And talk to me about intuition, because I know you are a believer, a gut believer. So yeah, talk to me about intuition and how you kind of get clear and how you tune into your intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for the longest time, I tried to ignore it and tried to avoid it because I don't know, I've always been a very mind driven person, very rational, logical, very academic, and especially with the positive psychology, even though that is based on science. But at the same time, I think especially over the last years, as I set up the Happyologist business and been growing it and developing it, the more I've learned to listen to my intuition and more the right answers have started to come to me. It's almost like I opened my door to it and then I actually started to listen. And for me, it's certain things that really help me to connect with my intuition. I mean, one is definitely meditation, because when I meditate and then calm my mind and get it blank, actually, I'm able to basically face every day and anything that I do in a more mindful way, which then makes everything slow down in a way that you can actually listen to the messages that are also coming from within you. And then another thing that really helps me to connect with my intuition is also animals, actually, because they're one of the things that I love, especially with my love for horses. I, whenever I get on the horse, if I'm feeling a little bit stressed or anxious or something, the horse will immediately, mirror it back to me because they're very intuitive animals. And I'm like, ooh, okay, right, calm down, breathe. And it's actually after rides or trainings or something like that with my horse, again, I start to just get these answers or things or ideas that I didn't really have before. So I mean, I live in London, so I go to the parks a lot. And yeah, it's nature is another thing that I think that helps you to connect to that kind of universal energy in a way.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice because, I find the same when I'm walking my dogs. I just kind of get out and about in the fresh air and walking around. And it's almost like that we're giving ourselves that space and we're connecting with nature, but actually it's enabling us to connect higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's just that because we're kind of living in the society that's a bit almost over connected with the smartphones and social media and everything, and you're supposed to always be switched on and ready to do this, and you're kind of praised for being busy and overwhelmed in a way.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to then stop and listen and to actually reflect. So we kind of have to make that time for ourselves, and whether that's going to the gym or going for a jog or, like you say, walking the dogs in the park. I mean, those are the best ways to kind of give yourself some me time in a way and just be present, be mindful. And that's when kind of your intuition starts to speak out more and you're able to also hear it more clearly.
And so, how do you, because obviously the other thing that we're advocate of here is designing our lives. So I know one of the things that you put is around building a life you love. Like, talk to me about how you would help a client build a life that they love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this really comes back to the 5 principles I share in my book, Screw Finding Your Passion, because I really believe that you don't necessarily have to find one passion to find and follow, and also because there is research that shows if you do that, you might have more detrimental effects because it might become a little bit too obsessive.
Okay.
So the 5 keys that I share when it comes to living a life full of passion are the keys that I would take all of my clients through. And like the first one is basically all about authenticity and really connecting to your true self. So here I really help people to dive deeper into their values, the principles they want to live their life by, the kind of non-negotiable musts that they want to ensure that their life is all about, and then also to make sure that their work is as aligned as possible with those values. The second is all about that sense of purpose, which I know you're very keen on as well, because I think if you know why you do what you do, it's so much easier to do everything, to be more motivated and to also be more fulfilled. You don't let setbacks or challenges or failures to hold you back. You're like, no, I believe in this, I know this is what I'm meant to do, so I'm going to keep going at it. I'm going to try a different approach. I'm going to get back up and get going again. And this is where I think purpose is so, so powerful, not only when it comes to resilience and keeping going, but also that sense of fulfillment, because it gives you such a more deeper type of happiness rather than just the smiling and the laughing and the clapping and joy, which is all amazing, but also the more deeper, oh, I feel it in my full soul that I'm living a really fulfilling life and somehow contributing or creating some kind of positive impact, even if it's just to the people around you. And then the third key is all about embracing life as a journey of learning and growth, because I think we really forget that as humans, we are naturally growing and evolving anyways, and we are actually our happiest when we are growing. You know, we like to be challenged. We like to develop our skill sets and our qualities and everything that we do. And if we kind of embrace that, that's when we also get more open to challenges on like taking that new step or testing out that new career, because we realize, well, life in itself is a journey of learning and growth. So let's embrace it fully. And then the fourth key is all about connecting with your tribe. So kind of knowing the people that really encourage you and inspire you and lift you up, and they almost believe in you more than you believe in yourself, and you kind of energize and inject each other with this positive passion energy and help each other forward, and you celebrate each other's successes, you pick each other up when you're feeling down, and you look at each other as inspiration. And I think knowing that tribe that you have and the people who really light this up in you, and probably because you also do the same for them, is really important, and making sure that you are interacting with them as much as you can. If not face to face, at least, you know, maybe FaceTime calls or starting a fun WhatsApp group or something, but just keeping that positive passion energy alive. And then the fifth and final key is basically all about using your strengths. This I think is really important, because especially if we look at the, let's say, the more traditional corporate roles and things like that, and you know, even I remember when I was in my corporate role, when you do your performance review, it's all about, yeah, this is what you're doing great, and then about 3 weeks on that, and then we spend about 45 minutes and, well, these are all your weaknesses and what you should develop. But this is actually very counterproductive, because as a human being, you are your most successful, most productive, and also your happiest when you're actually using your strengths. Because each one of you has your unique sets of strengths that you've been gifted with. So you should really embrace them and use them and play with them in different ways, because those are the things that are going to really help you to succeed and to also be fulfilled. And funnily enough, even when you focus on using your strengths and developing your strengths, your weaknesses develop as well, because you're developing as a whole human being. So those are kind of the 5 keys I take my clients through. And then with those 5 keys, that's when we start playing with them, combining them, see, okay, well, if, you know, if these are your strengths, if these are your values, if this is the kind of the why you want to live your life by, what kind of careers or things like that are you fascinated by, or what kind of lifestyle do you want to have? And then we kind of combine all the insight from those 5 keys and yeah, start testing the waters.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yes, I think our work is so aligned, because I think it's so important. I think life's not meant to be difficult, but actually, I'm afraid our education system has taken us away from, you know, everybody's got to be the same and be good at the same things. And if you're not educationally orientated or academic, then we think we're stupid. But actually, we all have our own gifts and talents that we just need to tune in and find.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, well, I'm glad that well, it's great to hear some, like, obviously what you're talking about is exactly what we talk about here on Kitty Talks, because you know, we're really inspiring a generation of change makers. So like we talked about community, you know, we have an online community where people can join and share with us, and so we support one another and help people, you know, help people grow. But talk to me about, we were talking before and you were saying that you have put together your 30-day happiness course, which sounds exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I've just basically launched an online course called 30 Days of Happiness. And basically the idea is that you learn one happiness lesson a day and one happiness practice for you to also basically take into that day, so that you can start changing your mindset, you can start boosting your positivity, and you can really start fueling your fulfillment. So yeah, so I'm really excited about the course. So if you are curious about exploring it, if you go to my website, happyologist.co.uk, there's a direct link to it. And and it's basically 30 short videos. And the idea is you watch one video every day, and then you've got your lesson, you've got your tip to practice, and then next day you come back and watch another one. So that at the end of the 30 days, you've basically got a toolkit of 30 different happiness practices you can embed and use in your life whenever you want.
Wonderful. And it's a brilliant idea, because unfortunately there are so many people who aren't happy out there. Like, you know, it is a real academic, like I've just done quite a few pieces for mental health awareness, and, you know, having suffered with depression myself in the past, you know, unfortunately there are so many people who do go through periods, and human beings are human beings, so we're going to have patches like that. So having a toolbox full of things sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm especially proud of the first 5 lessons is all about defining happiness and kind of redefining some of the myths that we hear about happiness. Because I do believe as well that some of the issues that we face ourselves and also as society is because there are a lot of misleading messages about what happiness actually is and is not. So that's why my course also starts about explaining, well, you know, there are some things that you should just kind of try and take out of your happiness dictionary, because they're actually completely misleading. Like exactly what you said there about everyone having down periods, everyone having, you know, up and down. That's completely normal. That's human. And, you know, happiness isn't about having a permanent smile on your face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but it is about believing in your ability that you can bounce back from it and get to a happier state again. And I think that's another kind of one of the lessons that I love to share, because I think it's so important for us to understand that as humans, it's normal and it's encouraged for us to feel all the human emotions, both the good and the bad, but we just learn and use like our toolkits to make sure that we can bounce back and get into a happier and more fulfilling state when we're ready to move there.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head with saying actually feel, because I think the other misconception that we've been potentially taught is that, you know, it's, you know, you can't feel sad, or you shouldn't feel bad, or you shouldn't be angry, or, you know, all the negative emotions you're not allowed to. So we kind of squash them and push them down, whereas actually we're energetic beings. So you know, we should let the emotions and the feelings flow through us and actually feel them. And then obviously they'll pass much quicker as well, because we're not holding on and we're not blocking our emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the more you try and block, especially the negative emotions, the more they become inside you. So you need to just be able to allow yourself to feel them, like you say, because then that's how you give them less power. And then that's how they do also pass quicker. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to Kitty Talks. Be sure to head over to our kittytalks.com website, become a member of our exclusive club, and you'll get free interviews and access to our private Facebook group, exclusive webinars and secret success interviews. See you there.